Have you ever wondered why happiness feels so out of reach, despite doing everything right? Maybe it's because you're avoiding the very truths that could set you free. The truth is, lasting happiness doesn't come from chasing comfort or pretending everything's okay. It comes from facing the parts of life we'd rather ignore, the hard, cold realities that sting at first, but heal in the long run. In this video, we'll uncover 5 harsh truths that most people run from, but the Stoics ran toward. These truths are not easy to swallow, but once you do, life becomes simpler, lighter, and more meaningful. So if you're tired of pretending, if you're ready to trade surface-level comfort for real peace, stay with me. Because the path to true happiness doesn't begin with smiles. It begins with honesty. Let's dive in. Number 1, you are not that important. Here's a truth that might sting before it sets you free. Most people are too busy living their own lives to be focused on yours. That may sound disappointing at first, especially if you've grown up believing the world is watching your every step. But give it a moment, because once you understand this, you unlock a kind of freedom most people never experience. We live in a time where attention feels like a currency. Social media trains us to think that every post, every moment, every tiny detail is under a spotlight. It feeds us the illusion that we are constantly being observed, evaluated, even judged. But step back. Take a broader view. While you're replaying that awkward thing you said yesterday for the 100th time, the people who were there are already thinking about something else entirely. Their deadlines, their relationships, their next meal. Not you. It's not because you don't matter. It's because everyone's the main character in their own story. That person you thought was annoyed by your comment, they're still wondering if they said something wrong. The stranger you accidentally bumped into, they forgot about you before they even got home. When you realize this, something shifts. You stop performing. You stop tiptoeing through life, terrified of small mistakes or awkward moments. And in doing so, you gain something rare: permission to be real, to try, to fail, to speak honestly, to take up space. Not for applause, but because you're no longer trying to impress an imaginary audience. This is how peace begins. Not by proving your worth to the world, but by understanding that the world isn't holding a scoreboard with your name on it. When you stop chasing validation, you make space for something deeper, living with intention. And in doing so, your life becomes more meaningful, not because everyone's watching, but because you finally are. Number 2, accept that not everyone will like you. There's something strangely painful about realizing that no matter how thoughtful, genuine, or well-intentioned you are, some people will simply never warm up to you. They may dismiss you, misunderstand you, or just not connect with you at all. And guess what? That's not a reflection of your worth. We grow up in a world that whispers this lie. If you're nice enough, agreeable enough, polished enough, you'll be liked by everyone. But reality doesn't work that way. Human connection isn't about pleasing the masses. It's about resonance. And resonance isn't guaranteed. 2 people can live side by side for years, sharing the same space, the same routines, even the same values, and still never truly click. So why do we so often twist ourselves into something we're not, just to gain approval from people we might not even admire? We become overly cautious with our words, bury our real opinions, and smile through moments that drain us, all to avoid rejection that was never personal to begin with. But in doing that, we don't just lose our voice, we lose our power. The truth is, trying to be universally liked is not only impossible, It's harmful. It puts your identity in the hands of strangers. It makes your self-worth dependent on moods you can't control and judgments you can't predict. You end up living someone else's version of who you should be, while your real self waits silently in the background. Think about it. The people you truly admire, are they trying to be liked by everyone? Or are they simply being themselves, unapologetically, even if it rubs some the wrong way? The most powerful kind of presence isn't built on likability. It's built on authenticity. And that authenticity will naturally repel some and deeply connect with others. That's not a flaw. That's alignment. So if someone doesn't like you, let them go. You're not here to pass every personality test or win every popularity contest. You're here to live as honestly and freely as you can. And when you do, you won't need hundreds of superficial nods of approval. You'll have something far more valuable: the peace of being truly yourself, and the joy of finding those who love you not in spite of who you are, but because of it. Number 3, success requires sacrifices. People love to talk about success as if it's some magical destination, like once you figure out the secret, the gates swing open and everything just works out. But here's the truth. Very few are willing to say out loud, success always comes with a cost. And no, it's not just hard work or ambition. It's what you're willing to give up when no one's watching. Everyone wants the results: respect, financial freedom, a sense of accomplishment. But those outcomes don't come packaged with your dreams. They come at a price. And that price is often paid in silence. Early mornings when you'd rather sleep in, lonely evenings when everyone else is relaxing, moments of self-doubt when it would be easier to just walk away. You won't find success on sale. You earn it through decisions that look invisible to the outside world, but feel heavy in your bones. It means saying no to quick comfort so you can pursue long-term meaning. It means staying focused when distractions offer easy escape. It means enduring criticism, boredom, uncertainty, and doing the work anyway. Because real progress doesn't happen when everything feels good. It happens when you choose discipline over desire, direction over distraction, and purpose over popularity. Think of success not as something you chase, but something that asks for parts of you in return. It doesn't demand perfection, but it will test your persistence. It will ask how bad you want it. And it will strip away everything superficial until only the essentials remain: your grit, your values, your will to keep going. Most people turn back not because they aren't talented, but because they're not ready to let go of what holds them back. Comfort, fear of failure, approval from others, or the illusion that the journey should be easy. But if you're serious, if what you're building truly matters, you'll learn to let those things go. Not all at once, but piece by piece. You'll feel the weight of sacrifice, yes, but you'll also feel something else: clarity. You'll know what you're working toward, and that clarity becomes the compass that keeps you moving, even when the path gets rough. So ask yourself this: not, do I want to be successful, but what am I willing to part with to become who I need to be? Because the moment you decide that your future is worth more than your current comforts, that's when the real journey begins. And every sacrifice you make along the way, that's not loss, it's investment. Number 4, some truths arrive without fanfare. You wake up one day and realize nothing in your life is standing still. Everything is moving, morphing, drifting. The people around you, the thoughts inside you. Even the ground beneath your feet seems to hum with change. whether you're ready for it or not. And yet, we resist. We build routines like fortresses. We hold on tightly to jobs, to people, to versions of ourselves that once made sense. We pretend we can pause the inevitable. But time has never asked for our permission. It keeps unfolding, quietly, relentlessly. This resistance, our attempt to hold the river back with our bare hands, is what causes the suffering. It's not the change itself that breaks us. It's the refusal to move with it. The truth is, transformation is not some rare exception in life. It's the rule. Just as the moon cycles through phases and trees shed their leaves each year, we too are meant to shift. You weren't built to remain the same. Your ideas, your priorities, your identity, they're all meant to evolve. Clinging to who you were yesterday only blinds you to the possibilities of who you could become tomorrow. There's a strange kind of wisdom in surrendering, not in giving up, but in leaning into the current rather than swimming against it. Because when you stop demanding that life stay still, you begin to notice its rhythm. You learn to move with it, to adapt, to adjust, to dance with uncertainty instead of fearing it. Sometimes the things we lose weren't meant to last. Sometimes the cracks in our plans reveal something more honest beneath. Sometimes the collapse of what was gives way to what might be. Growth rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It arrives dressed as disruption, as endings, as unexpected turns that push us far beyond what we thought we could handle. But those moments are where we're most alive, most alert, most capable of becoming someone new. And no, it won't always feel good. There will be grief for what's left behind, but there will also be strength, depth, and resilience forged in that very fire. So stop asking whether change will come. It already has. The real question is, will you step into it or hide from it? Will you treat it like an enemy or a teacher? Because what waits on the other side of change is not ruin. It's reinvention, not loss, but clarity. And if you let it, change won't break you. It'll build you. Number 5. You've probably felt it before. That voice in your head telling you not to begin yet. You're not ready. It's not quite right. Wait until it's perfect. And so, another day slips by. Then a week. Then a year. The lie of perfection doesn't sound cruel. It sounds reasonable, logical, safe. But it quietly robs you of momentum, of growth, and of life itself. It whispers that you're not allowed to start unless you're flawless. But here's a truth no one wants to admit. There is no flawless beginning. Perfection isn't a starting point. It's not even a destination. It's an illusion, floating just out of reach. Every time you get closer, it shifts, resets, demands more. You might tweak the same sentence 100 times and still feel unsatisfied. You might dream of the right moment to speak, to create, to show up, and it never seems to come. That's not because you're not ready. It's because you're chasing something that doesn't exist. The greatest achievements in history didn't begin with certainty or polish. They began with courage, half-finished ideas, nervous first steps, mistakes. Do you think the pioneers of science, art, or invention waited until they were 100% sure? Of course not. They started in doubt and built through action. Perfectionism is not a standard. It's a form of fear dressed in a nice suit. It wears the mask of ambition, but works like a prison. It convinces you that playing it safe is wisdom, when in reality, it's avoidance. What could you have already created, already shared, already become, if you weren't so concerned about being flawless? Let's step away from ideals and talk about reality. A filmmaker once shot an entire movie on an iPhone. Not because it was ideal, but because it was what he had. An entrepreneur launched her business using a single-page website she made herself. The design wasn't perfect, but the message was clear, and it worked. A musician uploaded a rough demo in his bedroom, unedited, uncertain, and it became the track that changed his life. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest, raw, and real. The world doesn't connect with perfection. It connects with truth, with effort, with the messy, beautiful proof that you tried. Here's a different way to see it. Imagine you're standing in a dark room holding a candle. You're waiting for the entire room to be lit before you move. But that's not how light works. You move first. Then the light follows. Start when you're uncertain. Begin when it feels clumsy. Press record even if your voice shakes. Share the rough draft. Launch the unpolished version. Not because it's done, but because you are ready to evolve. Every great artist, speaker, leader, or thinker you admire once made something imperfect, and they kept going. That's the difference. Not talent, not confidence, but a decision. To act before everything is perfect. So if you're standing at the edge, waiting for the right moment, this is it. Not because everything is aligned, but because you're done waiting for permission. Let perfection stay where it belongs, in your imagination. Out here, in the real world, progress belongs to those who begin anyway. Truth often arrives without warning, unpolished and inconvenient. We tell ourselves we're okay, but something feels misaligned. That quiet discomfort, it's not failure, it's a signal. Most people avoid it, hiding behind distractions and soft lies. But real peace doesn't come from escape. It begins when we face what's real, even if it stings. If you feel that tension inside, don't push it away. It's not here to break you. It's here to wake you up. Thanks for watching. If this video spoke to you in any way, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Your support truly means a lot.